When I was in grade school in Iowa City, I had a friend, classmate named Bill. For some reason, he could get out of school early every day. I think it was piano lessons or French lessons or something. But every day when we'd get out of class, he'd be hanging around the school. So one day, we must have had a scuffle in the schoolyard or some kind of a disagreement. But I came out of the end of the day, was walking toward the bus with my stuff, and Bill sprung at me from out of hiding somewhere, and without saying anything, came up to me and hit me in the stomach very hard, for the time at least, and it totally surprised me. I went down like a sack of potatoes or something and dropped my lunch pail and my school books, and Bill ran off, and that was a big shock to me, of course. And so later that same autumn, I was coming out of school and I saw Bill running toward the school. And I thought, what's going on, of course? And he was kind of running by me. But as he ran by me, he told me that President Kennedy had been assassinated. And even though it was weeks later, in my mind, I think of those incidents sometimes as happening all at once, as if he came up to me from hiding, punched me in the stomach, and told me about President Kennedy being assassinated. And what Bill said to me at that time was, Kennedy got it in the head. And that's how I learned.
I'm Jody Wiley, and I graduated from nursing school in 1963, and I was in my apartment making Barbie doll clothes for my stepsister for Christmas and watching TV at the same time, and it came on TV that Kennedy had been shot, and of course I was shocked, as everybody was at that time, and remember very well where I was and what I was doing, and watched TV for the next several days through the funeral. And I remember the whole, the ceremony and the horse with the backwards boots and Little John with his salute and the eternal flame and all that stuff. And that's about all I remember.
Hi, I'm Chris, and you asked about memories about President Kennedy's assassination. And as I recall, I was 10 years old in 4th grade. We were in school. There was an intercom in the classroom, and the principal came on the intercom and announced what had happened, and he sounded so very, very sad, very upset. I think my sense was it kind of confused and troubled the children, because I believe that because our teacher, I think, heard it first also, just the way we did, with him talking over the intercom. I don't think any of the teachers were prepared for this either or knew, and they were terribly upset, and you could feel like in the whole school that there was this very somber, very down feeling. And I think my memory is that we children all kind of reacted in different ways. I think we were surprised, and I think it was hard for us, maybe when the principal said, I'm very sorry to inform you, that the President of the United States has been shot and killed. I do think there were some of us who thought about TV programs or movies with that kind of action in it, and that may have been one of the ways that we coped with this very disturbing and surprising news. The principal announced that they were going to close the school early because of it, that we were going to go home. And what I remember is that my best friend and I, after we got home, it was kind of different for us since it wasn't your average school day. We were there early. We were at home early. And as I recall, we were upset also and stayed upset. And we had a really hard time, so it was very unusual for us. We had a very hard time settling down, finding something that we could do together that would be positive and normal. And I don't believe that I really watched it on TV. I think mainly she and I played together until, until our parents got home from work, because I think that that our parents were still at work. And so anyway, it made for a very unusual day, and I'll never forget it, to be honest. I had never had that, that number of adults, that group of adults around me that were like, crying, trying to not cry, sniffling, somber, kind of shocked, hushed, whispered tones. So I know I will never forget it.
On the day John Kennedy was assassinated, I was at college. I was attending Ellsworth College in Iowa Falls, and it was over the noon hour. I was in the student lounge with a bunch of friends. I think I was learning to play cards, either bridge or canasta. Anyway, the TV was on, and all of a sudden the news came across, and of course, for the next 3 days, like a lot of other people, I was glued to the TV that we had available at that time. I was pretty much apolitical at that point in my life, but that event just totally shocked me, like it did most of the country. That just inconceivable that anyone would want to shoot the President of the United States. I think the fact that he had the young family made everything even more poignant. And the fact that everybody in the country was so deeply affected. TV, I don't remember real well, but it seems like a lot of the TV coverage, there often was no voice commentary. We'd be seeing scenes, and funeral type music would be playing in the background. Sometimes it would be, for instance, when people were coming to pay their respects after his body had been returned to Washington. Anyway, yeah, I was in the student lounge at Ellsworth College in Iowa Falls, and it was one of those events that you just never forget.
My name is Warren Paris, and I was in Iowa City at the time, a student in the Department of Art, and I had finished my class at 12:30 and had walked up the hill towards Park Road, where I lived in Park Lawn Apartments. And as I had this long walk, it's about 8 blocks, got up to the 3rd floor, and the woman across the hall from me was right there, Johnny on the spot, because she heard me at my door. And she said, "We don't have television, and JFK has been shot. Can we get it on your TV?" And I said, "Well, of course." And so we went into my apartment, and that I had there with my wife. And my wife was working at the hospital, so we just sat down, turned on the TV, and at that time I remember Cronkite reporting that the president had been shot, and still unclear exactly what his condition was, and by that time they were at the hospital. So we sat there for the entire coverage up until the announcement that he had died, and both of us were just shocked. And I can remember that we just kind of sat in numb silence. The next time that we had coverage of the funeral parade and so forth, I had got a camera and I took photographs on what's called larger format film. And one of the things, I never processed that film. It was so heartbreaking for me that I never developed that film, and it may be with my belongings now. I'm not sure. I'm going through things right now. But Margaret Hibbs and I have frequently shared, remember the time that we were together during that very sad time. And we have continued our friendship through the years. And she lives here in Iowa City also with her husband, Robert.